Here in St. Louis, I'm Dan Shulman along with Jessica Mendoza, Aaron Boone. Very glad you're with us tonight and for another year of baseball here on ESPN. What a year, what a winter it must have been for Cubs fans as they win the World Series for the first time in over a century. Now it's about, can they do it again? They've got a lot of important pieces back from last year's team, of course, including their ace who's on the mound tonight, Jon Lester.
Oh, Dan, Jon Lester is the ace on what was the best pitching staff in all of baseball last year. And when you look at Jon Lester's career and what he has done, I feel like he is at his best right now. He had a career-low ERA last season. He was the co-MVP of the NLCS to get this team to the World Series. And when you think about what he can do, he's not popping 98, 99 on the radar gun, but he's able to locate, and he will not back down. He is a competitor, and this is a guy on a cast of aces in this starting rotation that gets the ball on opening day.
Now, as fun as October was for the Cubs and their fans, is as sad as it was for the Cardinals and their fans. The Cardinals missed the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. They just had a great pregame ceremony. A lot of their Hall of Famers, a lot of their history, and their intent on making it back to the postseason. They feel they've got a legitimate ace in the making as well, and we'll see him tonight. It's Carlos Martinez.
Yeah, guys, and for a storied franchise like the St. Louis Cardinals, this is a big deal, and I think it says two things. One, Carlos Martinez has been their best pitcher the last 2 seasons. But 2, at 25 years of age, they feel like he's going to go to that next level and become an ace that can match up against other great teams' aces. That quest starts tonight. One thing he's got to improve on, those 70 walks, he's got to lower those and become an ace that can routinely get over 200 innings. He's got to challenge the strike zone early. But this Cubs team is a tremendous test. They grind down pitchers.
Martinez will be pitching to Yadier Molina, who signed a 3-year extension today. Great news for Cardinals fans. Also, they were very excited in the offseason about an acquisition. A former Cub, Dexter Fowler, is now a Cardinal. For more on him, here's Buster Olney.
That's right, Dan. The Cardinals gave Dexter Fowler $82.5 million to help with their lineup and their clubhouse because of his exuberance and his personality. And tonight, Fowler plays against the Cubs for the first time since he won a World Series with them last fall. And he told me when he goes to bat against Jon Lester for the first time, he's going to tip his cap to Lester. He thinks Lester will do the same, but then he said, if he stone colds me, I'm just going to laugh. Dan, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you very much. We are excited to get it going here tonight. Jon Lester and the Cubs, Carlos Martinez and the Cardinals in front of a packed house here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Opening night baseball on ESPN is presented by Booking.com. Yeah, and in part by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data. And Hyundai.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel room, I want someone that makes it easy to find what I want.
Hello.
Booking.com gets it. They offer free cancellation in case I decide to go from kid-friendly to kid-free.
Now I can start relaxing even before the vacation begins.
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
Hey, Dexter Fowler. Is he taken?
How'd you get on the team bus?
Oh, it's cool. T-Mobile's all unlimited, so I've got unlimited access to all things MLB.
All things?
Yeah. And with my free MLB TV subscription, we can stream almost any game.
It's cool.
Cool?
Yeah.
You want to stream the Padres game? We got to scout these guys.
You know you're not on a team, right?
That's debatable.
It's not up for debate.
I think it is.
I don't think so.
On April 4th only, through the T-Mobile Tuesdays app, get a free year of MLB TV Premium.
This. What's better than this? This. What? Check it out. This. It doesn't get any better than this. I stand corrected. This is the 2017 Hyundai Elantra. Not just new, better.
Introducing the LG G6. The big screen fits in your hand. Buy the LG G6 and get a Google Home on us, both with a Google Assistant built in.
This weekend at Bass Pro Shops, earn double rewards points on select gear from the best brands, like savings of 20% on these Storm Search baits. These worldwide Sportsman Quick Dry shorts for under $20, and Teva men's 4-bay water shoes for under $40.
Hi, everybody. This is Pat Hughes. The Chicago Cubs are World Series champions. To commemorate this, BigTimeBats.com is releasing the 2016 World Series champions Louisville Slugger two-tone bat. The full-size bat will have the Cubs logo and the World Series champions logo. The bat is limited to 10,000 individually numbered bats and sells for $129.95. Call Big Time Bats now at 1-866-280-BATS.
This weekend at Bass Pro Shops, earn double rewards points on select gear from the best brands, like Redhead Men's Gray's Creek Henleys for under $13. Save 20% on a Bass Pro aluminum fish fryer, and Merrill Men's Trail Wick waterproof hikers for under $90.
One after another, they erupted, lighting up the sporting landscape, igniting passions, rewriting history, redefining the mystery that is the miracle of sports. 2016 set a sensational standard. And the biggest of them all, courtesy of our national pastime. What was a curse became a cause for celebration.
For the first time in 108 years, the Chicago Cubs are World Series champions.
Oh, my. The broken spell meant broken hearts for Cleveland. Can the Indians rebound and their own 68-year world title drought? 8 teams loaded with talent have never won the Fall Classic. Could this season have a first in store for one of them? Or will one of the more storied franchises rise above yet again? To do it, they'll need to dethrone the Cubs. 2016 is a tough act to follow. But the beauty for me, for fans, is everything is possible on opening day.
It sure is. Everybody is optimistic heading into the baseball season. We've got the Cubs and Cardinals kicking off their regular season tonight here at Busch Stadium. Let's check out the starting lineup now for the visiting Cubs, presented by Hankook Tire.
We got probably the two best right-lefty matchups in the middle of the order in tandem, starting with Chris Bryant, who's the defending MVP and Rookie of the Year before, and right behind him is Anthony Rizzo. You think about the power that he has, but he has career highs last season in batting average and slugging. With the two of them, righty-lefty matchup, I don't think there's a better combo in all of baseball.
On the mound tonight for the Cardinals, just the first time in 5 years that somebody other than Adam Wainwright has made the opening day start for St. Louis. It is the heir apparent, I guess, kind of a changing of the guard, perhaps. 25-year-old Carlos Martinez, who put together a very good year last year. 16-9 with a 3.04 ERA. Signed a 5-year, $51 million deal in the offseason. Options for years 6 and 7. And he puts the uniform numbers of the late Oscar Taveras and Yordano Ventura into the dirt behind the mound. He was very close friends with Taveras, friendly with Ventura as well. As we are underway here in St. Louis, Kyle Schwarber will lead it off for the Cubs. After missing just about all of last season after tearing multiple ligaments in his knee. Of course, he came back in the World Series, went 7 for 17. Whoever saw that coming? And now heading into this year, he will be the primary left fielder. He is the number 3 catcher for the Cubs. But of course, what they love most about him is the bat. And with Dexter Fowler having gone from the Cubs to the Cardinals, Cubs looking for a leadoff guy. And Schwarber is it. He's an on-base guy. He'll take a walk.
I think that's what kind of goes overlooked with Kyle Schwarber, because you think about the bat and the power and the way he swings it, but he also has a great eye, and his bat control at the plate allows him to be a good leadoff.
Lined into right field and down for a base hit. Well, the leadoff man aboard for the Cubs, and here comes the reigning National League most valuable player in just his second year in the big leagues, Kris Bryant. At 292, 39 homers, drove in 102. We talked about it, just what a combination of Bryant and Rizzo are in the 2-3 spots in this Cub lineup.
Well, we've already got a taste of the Chicago offense. Schwarber kind of gets himself into a good hitter's count and then takes advantage of a mistake. And that's what you want to watch early with Martinez, who has an electric arm, but sometimes excitable, that can lead to some mistakes.
98 miles an hour. Carlos Martinez averaged about 97 miles an hour with his fastball last year, third fastest among all major league starters, behind only Noah Syndergaard and Nathan Eovaldi. Not the biggest guy in the world, but one of the biggest arms in the sport.
That's just a missed spot there. That lit up K-zone, looked like maybe on the outer half, but because Molina had to reach across the plate, it gave that perception that it was a ball, and perhaps Molina buying a little time saying, hey, I think that was in the strike zone, Paul Emmel.
Slider misses down and away, ball 2. What a moment before the game as part of the pregame ceremony when all the Cardinals were being introduced. When it came time for Molina on a day in which he signed a 3-year extension, and this has been the big baseball story in this town in the last few days, because Molina said if they don't get it done by the start of this game tonight, he wouldn't do it during the season. Into the knees, 2-2, and they signed Molina to a 3-year deal. And you'd think there's John Mozeliak, the general manager, the vice president and GM of the St. Louis Cardinals, and Mozeliak, who always seemed calm, talking about this, saying, you know, we got a good feeling we're going to get it done. But what an ovation for Molina on this day after he signed that big deal. Martinez strikes out Bryant.
He hit 100 on that K pitch. I mean, he brought it away, went slider away, and I believe it's all about the setup, especially with Kris Bryant, to get him to look outside, and then he brings 100 in on the hands. A pitch for anybody, let alone the MVP, tough to catch up to.
So now Martinez will face Anthony Rizzo. Had another great year last year. He finished 4th in National League MVP balloting. Hit 32 homers, drove in 109. And in many ways had his best year. 43 doubles as well. Won a Gold Glove at first base as well. Couple of games in the books earlier today. The Rays beating the Yankees and the Diamondbacks overcoming 3 deficits to beat the Giants. This is the 3rd and final game of the night. A whole slew of games tomorrow, including 4 on the ESPN family of networks.
Yeah, the first changeup we've seen right there from Carlos Martinez. That's a critical pitch for him to be at his best against left-handed hitters. He's got to be able to throw his changeup from time to time as a secondary pitch.
In on the hands of Rizzo, but he gets to it and lines one into right field, a base hit. Up to second. On the play goes Schwarber.
And impressive that Rizzo's able to get to that ball. We know he stands all over the plate, so he has great plate coverage away, but they run that ball up and in on his hands, usually a deadly pitch to a power hitting left-hander, but you see him just pull the barrel in and get the head of the bat to that ball and fight it off enough to drop it out in front and right field there for his first hit of the year.
So 2 men on with only 1 out for the Cubs here in the top of the 1st. And here's the World Series most valuable player, Ben Zobrist. Zobrist, who can play all over the diamond, is in right field tonight. Javier Baez gets the start at second. Joe Maddon said, in large part, as a tribute to the players who were with them last year, he wanted to put all of those guys on the field here to open this season. So Hayward moves over to center. Zobrist is in right, and that gets Baez into the lineup at second. But it will be a season-long puzzle for Joe Maddon again, and he likes the versatility and the depth they have, but almost every day he's going to be asked, Joe, why is this your lineup today? It's like a daily thing with Joe Maddon because he can move so many pieces around.
And remember last year, because he was willing to move Bryant around so much, Baez would move from second to third, occasionally spelling Addison Russell at short, but Bryant would figure to stay at third base. At least that's their initial plan. So the only place to get Baez on the field perhaps early is that second base, where he's obviously great, but that means somebody's got to sit that would otherwise be a regular player.
Martinez ahead of Zobrist to ball and 2 strikes. Ground ball to second. There's 1 and 2 to end the inning. Well, Martinez surrenders a couple of base hits, but then a double play ball takes the defense off the field. The Cardinals coming up against John Lester when we come back.
Advil liquid gels work so fast, you'll ask, what bad back? What pulled hammy? Advil liquid gels make pain a distant memory. Nothing works faster, stronger, or longer. What? Pain. Advil.
7 ingredients. Wonder what they are.
Corrosion inhibitor.
Solvent fluid.
Demulsifier.
Fuel detergent number 1.
Fuel detergent number 2.
Anti-adhesion compound.
And marker molecules.
Get better gas mileage with Synergy. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here.
Strike a match, spark the conversation, and ignite those appetites. Oh, yeah, now we're cooking. So come as you are, as long as you come hungry. Kingsford, start something.
What makes a Wendy's hamburger different? Fresh beef. And while Wendy's may have to go the extra mile to never use frozen beef, unlike some other guys, the result is so worth it. Wendy's, the official hamburger of the NCAA.
Chevy is the most awarded car company 3 years in a row.
Really?
Let's see how quickly you can read through all their awards.
2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Kelley Blue Book 2016 Best Resale Value. 2016 JD Power Highest Quality Ranking.
10 best, blah, blah, blah.
2015.
Only about 90 more to go. That's a lot of awards.
Chevrolet, the most awarded and fastest growing retail brand in 2016. Celebrate with us and get 16% below MSRP on select Chevy vehicles in stock. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
A swing and a high fly ball to center, and it's gone. Fowler with a leadoff home run. The Cubs have a 1-0 lead. Dexter Fowler, such a big part of the World Championship team for the Cubs last year, and now he figures to be a very big part of the Cardinals team. Signed a 5-year deal as a free agent in the offseason, and here he is wearing Cardinal colors and getting ready to lead off here with the bottom of the first as we take a look at St. Louis's starting lineup presented by Hankook Tire.
Well, a huge offseason signing was Dexter Fowler to take him from your chief rival and add a .390 plus on-base percentage to the top of your lineup. What a
They seem pretty excited to have him here. They seem to have forgiven him for being a Cub the last couple of years. And he's up there now against all the guys he played with last year, including the man on the mound, John Lester. Lester had a terrific year in 2016, the National League Cy Young runner-up, 19-5, 2.44 ERA, had some very big outings in the postseason as well, including in relief for 3 innings in a Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah, I was watching for if there was any acknowledgement between Lester and Fowler. It seemed like Fowler was waiting to give that tip of the cap.
To center field, 1 down.
But Lester was kind of all business and didn't want to acknowledge him and perhaps take him out of his focus. A big first out there, though, for Lester after falling behind.
Third year with the Cubs, such a talented starting rotation that includes the likes of Jake Arrieta, Kyle Hendricks, who led the National League in ERA last year, John Lackey as well. Here's Aledmys Diaz, second-year shortstop for the Cardinals. Last year had a very eventful season. He hit .300 with 17 home runs. Struggled mightily defensively early. That got better as the year went along, but missed some time with a thumb injury as well. Missed 36 games. As he sends one to right center field, it's going to get down for a base hit, maybe more. On his way to second and in there, standing up.
Look at the location of this pitch. And when you see where it is on the outside part of the plate, it's a 1-0 count. Watch Diaz. Watch him just go out and simply reach. He's looking for this part of the plate because that's Lester's MO. He's going to pick apart one side. And for Diaz, he's looking away and he simplifies. You see how deep this ball travels? It gets to almost that back knee. And he's able to drive it into that right center field gap for a double.
Not saying Jason Hayward would have caught that ball, but perhaps if they had gone with their more traditional lineup tonight and Hayward's in right, maybe he does get to that ball in right center that Zobrist was a couple feet away from.
Here's Matt Carpenter. Carpenter over the last few years, last year he played some first, some second, some third. He's had a couple of years where he was entirely a third baseman. He's had 1 year where he was predominantly a second baseman. As of now, the plan for the Cardinals is he's a first baseman and he's the number 3 hitter, no longer the leadoff hitter with the acquisition of Fowler. And the Cardinals, Mike Matheny, they love the way the top 3 stacks up because all 3 guys get on base. Last year, Fowler had a .393 on base percentage, Diaz .369, and Carpenter .380. That's pretty good stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just a recipe to score a ton of runs if those guys can produce like they did a year ago. And I think Matt Carpenter now settling in and finding that home at first base. Talking to Mike Matheny, he said the plan is not to move him off of there. Let him get comfortable. Let him be there. I think this could be his best offensive season.
Well, if you're going to circle a spot where you want to be in this lineup, it's going to be right behind Carpenter. And Johnny Peralta's got the job tonight because of what you mentioned, Dan. I mean, you got 3 guys guaranteed they're getting on base consistently. There's 100 RBIs for someone to pick up on the back end of these top 3.
Taken low. Good eye there by Carpenter. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He is known for his patience at the plate, for his ability to fight off 2-strike pitches. He'll take a walk, but as the number 3 hitter, does the mindset change a little bit less thinking about getting on, a little bit more thinking about driving guys in?
I don't think his style changed. I think we've seen him evolve from a power standpoint, and I think that'll continue being in the 3-hole. But patience and power is a big part of his game now.
Making Lester work.
There are going to be more of these opportunities now, though. And for a great hitter, that's an excellent thing. With the pitcher in trouble, more opportunities like this, those numbers could explode for Carpenter.
High in the air, left center field. Hayward back shy of the warning track, makes the catch, tagging is Diaz on his way to third and in there. So he's at third with 2 down.
This just shows all of the different assets of Aledmys Diaz to be able to tag. Usually the rule of thumb is you wait for the ball to be behind you, but he knows his speed. He also had a good look where Jason Hayward was, and the ball was kept tailing. He didn't get behind it in a great way, and it kept tailing kind of back and further from third base.
So runner at third, 2 down, no score, bottom of the first here at Busch Stadium, opening night in St. Louis. And here's Johnny Peralta. He is ticketed to be the primary third baseman for the Cardinals this year. It lines up right now: Peralta at third, Diaz at short. We mentioned Carpenter at first. And at the moment, some combination of Colton Wong and Jed Jerko at second. Jerko in the lineup tonight. More on that as the game progresses. But for Peralta, hitting in the cleanup spot, as Jess mentioned tonight. It looked like coming into the spring that Stephen Piscotty would have first dibs on trying to win that job, but Piscotty did not have a good spring at all, and he starts the season hitting in the 6th spot. Peralta, of course, a veteran guy who has hit in all the sort of different spots in the order for different teams. Yadier Molina crouched in the on-deck circle, and you could see he doesn't get emotional, and I don't mean fired up emotional. I mean, you know, overwhelmed and touched emotional on the field very often. But when he got that ovation before the game, and he had his game face on, he's getting ready, warming up the pitcher, he's out in the outfield, it's just a few minutes before the game, but you could see he was moved by the ovation he got here in St. Louis.
And it lasted a long time, to the point I think he started to get uncomfortable and like, all right, move it along. But this fan base wanted to show their appreciation for an all-time great Cardinal.
Peralta chases, and Lester gets out of it as the Cardinals leave a man on at third. End of an inning in St. Louis. Molina will lead off the bottom of the second. We've got no score between the Cubs and the Cardinals.
Hi, everybody. In dramatic fashion, the Chicago Cubs overcame 108 years of heartbreak with a win in Game 7 of one of the greatest World Series ever played. Now you can purchase the same ball used in the World Series with this deluxe officially licensed Cubs World Series ball and case set. The case measures 4.5 by 5.5 by 10 inches and is limited to 10,000 individually numbered pieces. This historic set sells for $89.95 plus shipping and is sold at BigTimeBats.com. Order your piece of history today. Baseballs are not game used.
Forge of Empires. Develop your own city from the Stone Age to the future. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv. Forge of Empires. Play now.
The fourth quarter, it's that time. Well, this might be one of those games where the team with the ball last wins.
Brett Gertz.
Sorry, I was eating a Milky Way.
The ancient Greeks were great mathematicians, and they invented euros. Yet, they couldn't put them together and sell 2 euros for $6. And maybe that's why they're extinct. Arby's, we have the meats.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle, dependable relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and Dulcoes for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
No score going to the top of the second. Opening night baseball here on ESPN. The Cardinals and the Cubs, as Cubs shortstop Addison Russell leads off the second against Carlos Martinez. Russell last year, 238, 21 homers, 95 driven in. Just back from a recent back issue, and the Cubs had to wait a few days to know for sure whether he'd be able to answer the bell here at the start of the season. He'll be followed here this inning by Jason Hayward and then Wilson Contreras. Martinez gave up a couple of hits, struck out a batter, got a big double play ball off the bat of Ben Zobrist to end the top of the first. Just 6 foot, 190 pounds, Carlos Martinez out of the Dominican Republic. As he elevates that breaking ball a little bit, and Russell fouls it back.
He is definitely using his secondary pitches this first time through with the Cubs. A steady diet to Zobrist with runners on before getting the ground ball and a fastball.
But he can dial it up at 100 when he needs it.
And that's the thing. If he can establish those secondary pitches and prove that he can throw a strike, it makes that 100 with 2 strikes all the more impressive. As he just attacks the top of the strike zone, similar to the pitch he struck Bryant out with. It just kind of runs across the plate and at the top of the strike zone and overpowers Addison Russell.
Here's Jason Hayward. It was a struggle a year ago with the bat for Hayward. Hit .230 with 7 home runs, and in the postseason struggled even more. Was reduced to part-time status, really. By all accounts, has overhauled his swing, has reworked his swing in spring training, in the offseason and into spring training. And the results didn't suggest a big difference, but do you guys see a difference in him?
Yeah, I saw him last week in Mesa after seeing him early in spring training, and you can see his hands are in a much different place to start, hoping to just create a more natural rhythm.
Martinez puts him away on 3 pitches.
And his timing certainly didn't look great in that at bat, but I think it does have a chance to work and does have a chance to get him back to being the offensive player he's been for most of his career. Too much of that we saw a year ago, but that's an outstanding 2-strike changeup down and out of the zone that he's just not on time to hit.
Changeup at 90.
Yep.
From Carlos Martinez, who's got 3 strikeouts already. Here's Wilson Contreras. Last year, the Cubs had 3 catchers: Contreras, Miguel Montero, and the now retired David Ross, who is both Dancing with the Stars and is a part of our baseball coverage team now. I'm glad to have him aboard here at ESPN. So Contreras inherits a much bigger role. Just his second year in the big leagues. Didn't come up until June of last year, but became a pretty big force on the team over the course of the season. Now he's the starter behind the plate. He'll get most of the action, and he draws the assignment of catching John Lester, which was David Ross's, right? Ross was Lester's personal guy.
Yeah, and I think that's 2 of the storylines when it comes to Contreras this season. Is he looks like he's an all-star caliber player, but then how does that relationship grow and build with John Lester?
More on that when we come back. Martinez strikes out the side. Yadier Molina is a couple of minutes away from a monster ovation. He'll lead off the bottom half.
Everybody loves the show. This guy's a spy, so he loves the customization. This guy's a villain, so he loves the strategy. This guy has 4 jobs and 12 kids, so he loves the quick 3-inning games. This guy didn't choose his name, so he loves that he can choose his own adventure. This guy loves couch co-op, so does this guy. This guy lives in Coldfoot, Alaska, so he loves competing online. This guy's an RPG god, and he's beating this guy pretty bad.
Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
In our pizza family, watching the game means never taking your eye off better ingredients.
Baseball's back, and to celebrate, we're giving you 40% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code PAPASLAM now through April 6th.
Papa John's.
Remember, here at Ally, nothing stops us from doing right by our customers. Who's with me?
We're like a basketball team here at Ally. If a basketball team had over 7,000 players, our plays are a little unorthodox. But to beat the big boys, you need smarter ways to save people money. We know what you want from a financial company, and we'll stop at nothing to make sure you get it. And we mean nothing.
Let's just say it's been a big year for the Brizzo Souvenir Company. That's another sale!
More home runs means one thing: expansion.
We're looking at any and all opportunities for growth. We need a jingle.
Long gone home run, this one's gonna go. Kiss it goodbye, that ball was Brizzo.
Only one thing can get us where we need to be.
Interns.
Don't trip, you got it. We put the ding in dingers.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, covering the bases with tires for superior performance all season long. Goodyear, more driven. Here comes Molina. A guy who has meant as much to his team as any active player in the game. Formally signed a 3-year extension earlier today. "34 years of age right now. Known best for his defense. 8 Gold Gloves. A 3-year $60 million extension announced today that puts him right up there with the highest paid catchers in the game. And as good as the numbers are and as great as the awards are, ask anybody who wears one of those Cardinal jerseys and they'll tell you you can't quantify what he means to everybody else on the team.
Dan, I've talked to so many pitchers over the years that have come to this organization, and routinely I'll make a point to go ask them, how good is Yadier? What kind of difference does he make? And guys that I know and trust that aren't just giving me the company line tell me I had no idea that somebody could be that impactful on all the nuances of the game like Yadier Molina. The Cardinal fan base knows it, and this organization knows it, and it's why they rewarded him again.
It is rare when a player can spend his entire career with one team, and we don't know if that's ultimately going to be the case for Molina, although it looks a lot better now than it did before the extension was signed. But you just don't have guys, very many guys at all, spending their entire career with one team because of free agency. As he spanks one up the middle of base hit.
And we talk about the defense, but he's always been known as a clutch hitter, big spots, and this on opening day, a big stage. Works a good at bat against Lester. Looks like a little cut fastball that just stays over the heart of the plate. And that short Yadier Molina swing where he stays inside that ball well and just drives it right back through the middle for a leadoff single here. I want to say it was a nice tribute by John Lester. As that ovation started, honestly, he stepped off the mound and let that happen. And I thought that was a classy move by John Lester to let Molina receive his due.
Now Stephen Piscotty. You know, back to players who spent their entire career with one team. When you think of other notable players, active major leaguers, David Wright's been a Met his entire career. Joe Mauer's been a Twin. I think Buster Posey's the guy who jumps out at me, who's maybe most similar to Yadier Molina. How strange would it be to ever contemplate Posey not being a Giant? Who knows how these things will sort itself out? But this guy, he's headed to the Hall of Fame. I think we'd all agree on that. And he's going to have a statue built in his honor before he's done here in St. Louis. Piscotty with a base hit up the middle. Dustin Pedroia with the Red Sox, another guy I think in a similar category where you just can't imagine them wearing another uniform. As Molina and Baez teammates for Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. We're going to show you play. I promise you. We're going to. They're queuing it up in the truck right now.
Best tag ever.
Best tag ever. If you haven't seen this play, you have to see what Baez did. Molina was the guy throwing the ball down to second. We'll show it to you when we get a second. But you know, the World Baseball Classic meant so much to so many players, and you saw the passion with which players like Baez and Molina played for their country. The United States eventually beating Puerto Rico in the championship game. Jed Jerko is the batter, getting the start at second base tonight. The Cardinals with 2 men on, nobody out, bottom of the second.
Yeah, but it was like so many all-star teams. I mean, Puerto Rico alone. I mean, there were guys that start for their regular teams that couldn't start on that team because there was so much talent.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch some of those games.
Let's take a look. The throw's great. Focus on Baez at second. He doesn't look at the glove or the runner. He's staring at Molina and pointing before he catches the ball and puts the tag down on Cruz.
Yeah, how do you feel if you're Nelson Cruz right there? Like, he didn't even look at me and he tagged me, like, and was celebrating before he even caught the ball.
I'm sure you guys are like me.
So
I've seen that like 50 times.
Yeah.
I want to see it 50 more.
I screamed when I saw it live. I literally jumped up, and it was like on at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, that game was on late.
Globetrotter-esque.
What's interesting about Baez, too, is he says he's left-handed in everything he does except throw and hit. And that's why he's able to have that confidence in his tags. He's known so well for it.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Jerko, who hit 30 home runs last year in 400 at-bats. One of the things the Cardinals did very well last year was hit home runs. They had over 220 home runs during the season. And Jerko and, as we mentioned, Colton Wong, they're going to split second base. Remains to be seen exactly how. Doesn't sound like it's a strict platoon. As the count now runs full. And Lester in a jam here in the second. You can see Molina, how active he is out there at second base. Well known, of course, that John Lester has trouble throwing to bases, has trouble holding runners, and even guys who don't steal bases, some of them are very active just trying to mess with Lester.
Well, and on a 3-2 count there, you definitely want to ramp it up and at least give John Lester to the thought that, hey, maybe we will put the game in motion here. But first and second, nobody out. I'd be very surprised if Piscotty and Molina are off.
And Lester with a big first out of the inning. Tomorrow, our opening day games roll on with 4 more for you. Starts at 1 o'clock Eastern time. The Braves and the Mets. Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound, of course, for the Dodgers at 4 o'clock Eastern as they take on the Padres. Our gang here, we're headed down to Arlington as the Rangers open up against the defending American League champion Cleveland Indians. And then 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow night on ESPN2, it'll be the Angels and the A's. All 4 games streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
We get Martinez and Lester tonight, Kluber and Darvish tomorrow. Ooh. Pretty good, right?
Well,
spoiled.
We rolled a couple of 7s on these 2 games as Contreras will head to the mound to talk to Lester.
Guys, that actually looked like Lester was talking to Contreras there.
Thank you, Buster. That's an important clarification.
Well,
and again, this is a very important relationship for the well-being of the Chicago Cubs this year.
And talking to Joe Madden before the game, he talked about, hey, I want John Lester to lead this relationship. This is a first-time, everyday catcher now, Contreras. It's his job. He wants him to worry about being an outstanding player and just catching. Have John Lester lead a little bit.
It's interesting because David Ross took such a large role in handling everything that comes with catching John Lester. Now Lester has to take on a bigger role of that himself until Contreras is ready, although by all accounts the guy on your screen who was in your screen there for a moment, Anthony Rizzo, even though he's the first baseman, he may inherit some of that role.
Well, talking to David Ross this week, he said, you know, in his time catching John Lester, he never shook him off until about the second half of last season, and he liked that because he knew he was passing on the torch. He knew that John Lester needed to take more accountability for the pitches that he wanted to throw, and he was proud of him because he said, I know that you're going to have to be able to tell Contreras what you want instead of the catcher telling you.
Pulled foul. Well, John Lester's been a really good pitcher for a long time, but he's had his best success with David Ross if you look at it in terms of catcher's ERA, a 2.75 ERA in the games in which he has pitched to Ross, and that was not just with the Cubs, that was with the Red Sox as well. Last year, incidentally, Wilson Contreras only caught 3 innings from John Lester, and they did not go well in terms of the runs that scored on Lester. Now, obviously, this spring, they spent a lot of time together. Lester worked to Contreras extensively, so they've had some experience heading into the regular season.
And make no mistake, it is one of the storylines to watch for the Cubs at the start of this season and certainly the first couple of months, because if that relationship at all isn't clicking or going well, you're going to know it, because John Lester usually wears his emotions on his sleeves, and then all of a sudden it becomes a big story in Chicago. But I think both guys, at least to start with, have a ton of respect for each other.
You know, Contreras is someone who has a reputation of being a very energetic catcher. He actually had to slow down, demonstrate that he could do that in a game before they promoted him to the big leagues. And you mentioned, Dan, the thought is that if Lester needs someone to settle him during a game, it's going to be Anthony Rizzo, the first baseman, who may take the reins.
Who's still a fairly young player, but he's a young veteran. He's much older than most of the other position players that the Cubs have on the field.
And who was
strike 3 called, and a big second out for John Lester.
And who was always in, to put a period on that, who was always in David Ross's back pocket? It was Anthony Rizzo. So if anyone was going to pass on that leadership, it was to Rizzo from Ross.
Oh, we see Lester here get into some trouble. First and second, nobody outs. He gets a changeup for his first strikeout, and then look at the location of that pitch. Little two-seam fastball down the way. You see Contreras hold it right on the corner. Nothing Grichuk could have done with it. They get the call and a big second out.
So 2 men on now, 2 down in the inning, and the batter is the pitcher Carlos Martinez. But Martinez can swing the bat a little bit. He has a hack at the first pitch, pops it up foul with it back out of play. Last year Martinez hit .237. He went 14 for 59 on the year, so he's not to be taken lightly. His career number, his career batting average is at 194, as you can see. Molina at second, Piscotty at first. Out of play again.
2 pretty good pitches for Martinez to hit there, and 2 pretty good swings. Now with 2 strikes and a couple runners out there, you might expect Lester to try and work the periphery of the strike zone a little bit to now see if he can't get Martinez to chase something.
Tried to check the swing, and on the appeal he did hold up. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's one of the first curveballs we've seen tonight. It's been mostly fastball, cutter, and we've seen some changeups. I don't know that we've seen that curveball yet, which is just a nice change of pace for him. The one pitch he'll throw in the 70s. It's not a nasty pitch, but because he does such a good job of getting the cut fastball to the inside part of the plate to right-handed hitters, it's a great change of pace pitch.
Got that fastball in on his hands, and Martinez did well just to fight it off.
And you're so aware, as a right-handed hitter, you're so aware of John Lester's presence inside because he's so good at not only coming in off the plate, but he's able to get strikes in there. So you've got to be aware of it. And because of that, as soon as you get conscious of the inside part of the plate, anything soft and on the outer half, you become vulnerable, even if it's not a wipeout or a nasty pitch, which that curveball and his changeup aren't necessarily. They're just located well.
Cardinals are making Lester work. As we mentioned, Martinez is a good hitter for a pitcher. He's no Madison Bumgarner, but that's a whole other story. Madison Bumgarner hit 2 home runs today, becoming the first pitcher ever to hit 2 home runs on opening day. Still wasn't enough, though. The Giants blew 3 separate leads. Diamondbacks beat them. A.J. Pollock with a big day for the D-backs. Swing and a miss, and now the inning is over. Lester 3 consecutive strikeouts after giving up a couple of hits to begin the inning. No score at the end of 2. When we come back, Jess Mendoza will help us get to know Dexter Fowler a little bit better.
You look beat, Butchie. Up late watching the games? Daughter was out late. It's hard not to worry about your teen driver out on the road. Liberty Mutual lets you leave worry behind. I heard they offer 24-hour roadside assistance. Saw it in a commercial once. He'll figure it out.
Liberty stands with you.
Liberty Mutual stood with me when this guy got a flat tire in the middle of the night, so he got home safe.
Yeah, my dad says their insurance doesn't have that. What?
You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Hurry into Lowe's today for huge Spring Black Friday deals across the entire store. Like 5 bags of premium mulch for only $10. Plus, get free Stay Green Lawn Starter Fertilizer with purchase of select Pennington Smart Seed. Get started with the season's best savings. Start with Lowe's.
You're a brave man, Mr. Stevens. Your testimony will save lives. Mr. Stevens?
This is your new name. This is your new house and a perfectly inconspicuous SUV. You must become invisible.
I'll take my chances.
Welcome back to St. Louis. No score going to the top of the third. Cubs and Cards. It is time now for Unlimited Access, brought to you by T-Mobile.
Dexter, one of the first things you said when you walked out here was how different it looks from this side of the dugout. It's weird to see you in a Cardinals uniform. How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels good, but like I said, you know, coming up here, it was definitely weird seeing the field from this side.
One of the things traditionally you've done, we got a monitor behind us, so we're gonna go through a little bit of the history of you and some of the history that's happened. Is your grandmother Betty? She passed away a while ago, but before every game, part of your tradition is to have a conversation with her. Here's a shot of you in the Ivy. This is actually before Game 5 of the NLCS, but why is that so important to you?
You know, my grandmother, you know, playing baseball, I remember I used to tell her that I was going to be in the big leagues, and, you know, she believed me, and she always believed in me, and, you know, I always go to center, and I'll say the prayer, and just feel her in my heart, so. And part of, when I was referencing the history, is last year you became the first African-American to ever represent the Cubs in the World Series. What did that mean to you? It was crazy to think of that, but you know. Here you are, this first at bat when that history happened. Yeah, it's crazy. First at bat, and you know, nothing I take lightly. You know, being the first African American to step foot in play in the World Series, you know, with the Cubs is crazy to even think about. You know, it's been that long. Well, what was crazy is that Game 7, okay? So, like, I mean, there were so many moments, and I said history surrounds you, but that first at bat was the first time in all the World Series games that there was a Game 7 leadoff home run. And all the moments of that game, what stood out to you the most? So here's the home run shot. First time ever that had happened. I felt like it was silence when I was running around, and then I got in the dugout, and I'm getting chills even talking about it. But I got in the dugout, and I was like, "Did that really just happen? Did I really just do that?" So you know, I just try to get the boys going, and it happened to be that. One of the biggest things now that we get to you in a Cardinals uniform, put some of the Cubs things behind, is I know John Mozeliak, one of the biggest things he said is he wants you to change the way that they do things here. How do you feel like you've done that so far? I don't know. I just try to come in and be myself and see where it takes me. You know, it hadn't gotten me in trouble yet, so I try to stick with it. And, you know, I like to have fun, and you know, I try to get the boys involved as well. Music in the clubhouse, you've already brought a lot of fun. Thank you, Dexter. Appreciate the time. Definitely.
Yeah, one of the things that Mike Matheny asked Dexter one of the first days of spring training was, hey, of all the things that Joe Madden taught you about the game, about how to have fun and relax, what was some of the bigger things? And he was shocked. He said, you know, I was shocked that Mike wanted to know what we did with the Cubs. And he said the music was probably one of the bigger things.
Lazy fly ball into center for out number 2.
And he said this is something they hadn't done with the Cardinals ever before. It sounds okay, it's just music. What's the big deal? But he said, you know, the guys were so stiff a lot of the times, and they weren't able to get relaxed. So he said, first day of spring training, I came out there and I was like, let's pump the jams. They got a tripod with an extension cord to go to the back field so that they could listen to music and have some fun.
Look, the Cardinals are known, obviously, for having this great culture, the Cardinal way. But as Mike Matheny said, hey, we're always wanting to get better and do things to increase our performance. And one of the things early on has been the music, but that interview with Dexter Fowler, what just leaps off the screen is just how infectious that smile is, coupled with the fact that they're really getting a really good player on both sides of the ball, and they've stolen them from their rival. I think it's a huge difference maker for this club.
2 balls and a strike now on Kyle Schwarber. John Mozeliak, who we talked about a little bit earlier, the VP and GM of the Cardinals, said that Dexter Fowler is, quote, the most inclusive guy he has ever been around in baseball, that he can talk to anybody. He can relate to anybody. Everybody gathers around him. He's just that kind of a guy in a baseball clubhouse.
And you think about where he's positioned. on this team in center field when you got two young guys to his left and right in Piscotty and Grichuk.
Schwarber drops one into right center field, his second hit of the game, and this one is going to be a double. Opening night baseball on ESPN, presented by Booking.com, is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty stands with you. And by Lowe's. So Kyle Schwarber is often swinging so far this season. He's got a single and a double in his first two at-bats.
Shouldn't surprise anybody. What that guy has done from coming up to the bigs 2 years ago to sitting out almost the entire season and coming into the postseason.
Do you guys like him as the leadoff hitter? Of the available options that the Cubs have, is Schwarber the guy?
I love it. Look, I mean, I think we're long past being surprised when that prototypical leadoff hitter where you don't see the guy that runs real well, that doesn't hit for power. The bottom line is he's going to be an on-base machine coupled with a power presence, and in this lineup it gets incredibly long.
And Joe Maddon, as you see with the lineup tonight, he doesn't always traditionally put a pitcher in that 9 spot, so you're going to see some on base with the tools that they have. Javier Baez tonight, who is going to be able to get on base and do a lot. Now you got Schwarber, Bryant, and Rizzo backing that up. Whew. It's a tough 3.
Line foul.
I had a scout say to me the other day, imagine being the opposing pitcher, getting ready for that game, and the first 3 hitters you're going to face are going to be such tough at-bats right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, tough at-bats from they're going to see a lot of pitches. They're going to grind you down. There's the power element that if you make a mistake, you're in big-time trouble. And then, oh, by the way, we've got a switch hitter in Ben Zobrist who grinds out at-bats and delivers big hits. It's just over the long haul, they're just going to wear you down.
Martinez with a big strikeout of Bryant. Carlos Martinez has 6 strikeouts through 3 innings. Top of the order for the Cardinals. That means Fowler leads it off when we come back to Busch.
Strike a match, spark the conversation, and ignite those appetites. Oh, yeah, now we're cooking. So come as you are, as long as you come hungry. Kingsford, start something.
Allergies can hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. It starts working in 1 hour. Relief lasts 24 hours, and it's non-drowsy. Break through allergies with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief.
The new Smokehouse Pizza from Little Caesars is our first pizza with 3 smoked meats. So we got barbecue champion Big Mo Queson to test it out. 8-hour smoked brisket.
Certified beefified.
10-hour smoked pulled pork.
Certified hogified.
Applewood smoked bacon.
Certified baconfied.
Drizzled with tangy barbecue sauce plus a Smokehouse seasoned crust.
Certified smokified.
The new Smokehouse Pizza. Only $9 and only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
First, there's sharp blades. Then, shielding lubrication. And cooling. Brr. With lubrication before and after the blades. Shields and cools while you shave. Pro Shield Chill from Gillette.
DiGiorno?
Do your thing.
Rise to the occasion. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
At our Joseph A. Bank one-day sale, save up to 70% on almost everything with all signature premium wool suits $199, all dress shirts and sports shirts, including Traveler, 2 for $79, and Traveler casual twill pants just $49. The one-day sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
I joined the Army in July of '98.
Our 18-year-old was in an accident. When I call USAA, it was that voice asking me, is your daughter okay? That's where I felt relief.
We're the Rivera family, and we will be with USAA for life.
They all take the same lane in, but each arrives on his own path. The stage, the stakes, the stories at the Masters. Thursday and Friday at 3 on ESPN.
Welcome back to St. Louis. Opening night baseball on ESPN. The Cubs and the Cardinals. Dexter Fowler leads it off for St. Louis against John Lester. Fowler with a fly ball to center his first time up. Lester gave out a 1-out double in the first, but the Cardinals couldn't score. Then back-to-back singles to start the second, and then Lester struck out 3 in a row to get out of that. Lester's got 4 strikeouts through 2. Carlos Martinez has 6 strikeouts through 3. Curveball catches the outside corner. Fowler didn't think so, and it's 1-2.
Definitely a bit of a gift. Fowler sees that as a ball right out of the hand, and probably definitely doesn't get back to the corner.
See, and then he backs it up with a changeup at 85. So you got 77 and then 85. You know, in Dexter's mind right now is that cutter that can come inside, and this is where Lester just plays that game so perfectly.
Coming in and put it where he wanted to, didn't he?
And that's what makes him so good.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, Carlos Martinez is going to light up the gun with 100 miles an hour, but John Lester can command the baseball. I mean, this is a tough place to locate because you don't want to hit the batter. You don't want to leave it too far over the plate. And he gets that late break right on the hands.
The interesting thing to see will be if Dexter Fowler can get on base, especially here starting the inning. You know, he's watched the issues that John Lester has in holding runners. We'll see how that manifests itself if Fowler can reach base.
That gets by Lester, and that means nobody has a play.
Well, another pretty well located pitch by Lester. He goes after establishing in, he goes with the 2-seamer down the way, and Fowler just kind of off the end of the bat. And once he sees it go past Lester, he knows he can just cruise into first base, even with Baez, who they are now checking on, see if maybe he's pulled something.
Innocent enough looking play. Baez looks like he's all right. Opening night baseball on ESPN is presented by Booking.com. Dan Shulman, Jess Mendoza, Aaron Boone, Buster Olney here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Baez is okay. No score, bottom 3. And here we go. Game on. Fowler, a guy with some speed at first. Nobody out. Of course, Fowler knows Lester extremely well. Teammates the last couple of years. Lester rarely, if ever, will throw to a bag, but you can't say the same for Wilson Contreras behind the plate.
All right, and here's the first test. And Fowler, frankly, didn't get out far enough, but he got further than he normally would, and that's where it becomes dangerous, because when you have a guy like Wilson Contreras, David Ross in the past, that are good at throwing behind the runner, you're out there in no man's land. If you get out far enough, then you have to go, or you can't do a secondary lead.
So if you were Fowler, if you had Fowler's speed, you're a little bit worried about Contreras throwing down. Do you just go? Do you just get out there and say, I know Lester's not throwing, I'm just going?
Yeah, I'm getting out there 3-4 steps further than I'm comfortable of. You've just got to trust that it's not coming over, and then work on getting a decent jump and ride out.
That'll scoot by Baez into right center, and Fowler around to third on the play.
Well, Lester looked a little shocked. It didn't seem like Baez saw this ball very good off the bat, and he reacted kind of late. The ball's hit sharply again off the bat of Diaz. Do you see Baez kind of head up the middle, like maybe he thought Lester might be getting it, and he was going to go have to cover the bag because they are playing over to pull, so he was going to be the guy that absolutely would have to turn to, but he just did not react properly to that ball, and because Diaz hit it hard enough, it scoots by, and the Cardinals in business.
Well, the old phrase about baseball is it's a game of inches. A few inches One way or the other, that could have been a double play ball. Instead, it's 1st and 3rd, nobody out.
Well, I think if Baez sees it properly, he fields it, and it is a double play.
Instead, it's a great opportunity for Matt Carpenter. Cardinals have had their chances. They're already 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in this game. Left a man on in the first, left 2 men on in the second. A called strike, says Paul Emmel.
Wow.
And Matt Carpenter does not agree.
That's a couple this inning now that we've seen. One to Fowler and now Carpenter that definitely did not look like strikes. And Paul Emmel, usually more of a hitter's umpire, usually a tighter zone. So a couple that have gone Lester's way here.
Well, the way things are these days, you've got information on just about everything, and the scouting report on Paul Emmel is that he has a very small strike zone when left-handed batters are at the plate. Not so much when righties are up there, but when lefties like Carpenter are up there.
Well, look at the one spot. He likes it low, high, inside. He rarely gives, but the one spot away to lefties is what he just called on Carpenter.
Line to right field, caught by Zobrist. Runner tags, coming home and in there. Fowler slides in safely with the first run of the night.
Well, Jess, that's just the patience of Carpenter paying off. He finally got a pitch up that he could handle, laces it into right field, and Fowler does a real nice job of quickly reacting to the ball. Line drive, gets right back to the bag, puts himself in position to be able to tag because Zobrist was able to get behind that ball and get something on it, but the speed of Fowler able to plate that first run.
Is that another of Jason Hayward's in right, though? Do you think with his arm?
I don't think so. I think Fowler reacted too well to the play.
There goes Diaz, and there is no throw from Contreras.
Pretty good lead there from Diaz. But more importantly, with the big lead, he gets a really nice jump. No chance for Contreras to even make a throw.
The batter, Johnny Peralta. And you can see Diaz is doing the same thing out at second base that Yadier Molina was doing last inning when he got there.
It's a little bit bigger, too. And Diaz getting off a lot farther.
Well, if you're going to try to take third, this is when you do it. One out, right-handed batter at the plate. Ball in the dirt, but
see, if you're going to do that, then you need to anticipate what just happened right there. Because if you're going to take a big lead and then get a big jump follow-up because that's what you can do off John Lester, then you're recognizing ball in the dirt. And I don't care if it's Wilson Contreras behind the plate. That's when you take third. And that's where I see with a lot of these base runners, they're getting the big leads, but they don't necessarily have that extra ability to then take the bat.
He's going, and the pitch fouled back 2-2.
Well, that was perfect by Diaz there. He got out there. He finally got in a comfortable place to where he's in that really no man's land. If a guy could pick you off, he knows he got to the spot. He knows he's in position that if he gets a decent jump, he's going to make it to third. Fortunately, though, Peralta fouls it off.
You know, when you think about that, this happens every 5 days to John Lester. Teams try to do this to him all the time. As hard as it is for a lot of people to say, well, how can a pitcher have trouble throwing to bases? I think just as interesting and amazing is look at how good a pitcher he is, given that he can't throw to bases and that he deals with this every 5 days, that he is still one of the top starting pitchers in all of baseball. Swing and a miss. 2 down. And that'll bring up Yadier Molina for the second time tonight. Molina, as you can see, had a .307 batting average last year. He hit .365 after the All-Star break. And Aaron, you asked Mike Matheny before the game, is he in a better place health-wise, physically now than he was at the beginning of last year? And the answer was a no doubt about it, yes, he is.
Well, remember this time last year, they didn't think he was going to be ready for opening day. He only had a couple weeks of spring training. He was coming off the thumb injury. But he made it into the opening day lineup, was his usual durable self. But I don't think physically he was anywhere close to what he is right now.
There goes the runner. Throw down to third and not in time as Diaz steals third.
And this is big, too, because as the St. Louis Cardinals, who obviously you're playing a division rival, that you're having some success in doing this, I think it sends a message and shows your teammates that, okay, here's what it takes. We've got something to go on now. You need to get out to get that big league. Trust that you are safe out there, and then just work on getting a quick jump, and you're going to be safe. But it sends a good message to the rest of the team that we can do this.
So Diaz steals second and third. A run in for the Cardinals and a 1-0 lead, out hitting the Cubs 5-3 as they bat here in the bottom of the third. One and two.
That was a similar location to the base hit that Molina had his last at bat. John Lester comes right back with it. Just a little bit more on the outer edge of the plate. And you wonder if he's going to come with that cut fastball back in, because you see on that last take by Molina that he's starting to lean. He's starting to get his body looking away, almost reaching away. So when does Lester come back inside just to keep him honest?
Now.
Here's your right. But he missed badly up and away.
Well, you see, they, as you said, Jess, they wanted to come in there, but just overthrown, and pretty good job by Contreras of reaching back across and showing off his athleticism a little bit.
That's a great super slow-mo right there.
That is awesome.
Look at the pitch count on Lester, 68 already. And number 69.
Great at bat.
Results in a walk for Molina. The inning continues. It's the year's first major, and for the 10th year, we'll have rounds 1 and 2 from Augusta here on ESPN. Dustin Johnson, the world's #1 ranked player, headlines the field looking for his first green jacket. The Masters, Thursday and Friday at 3 Eastern, also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. So the Cardinals with Diaz at third, Molina at first, 2 down, a run in. An escalating pitch count for Lester. And Stephen Piscotty, the batter, had a base hit his first time up. It was a strike, and you can understand the reaction of Cardinal fans because they just see all the movement from Contreras behind the plate, but Contreras was set up inside and had to move to his right.
Did you hear the reaction of John Lester? I mean, he screamed after this because it's a missed spot. He wanted to come inside. You see he misses away. This is now the third, but look at John Lester. He's starting to get a little fired up on his misses the last 2 batters.
Missing badly again. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2.
And you can see Contreras, who loves to go out to the mound, is thinking about it, but it's almost like a reluctance to go out there as well. So you know they've had those conversations of, you know, Lester probably doesn't like the catcher coming out there a ton, but it'll be interesting to see when Lester does have these little pockets where he gets out of sync a little bit, who is going to be that guy to kind of either go to the mound or even just whistle out at him, try and calm him down.
And he got him. Strike 3 called. That'll end the inning. A long and frustrating one, as you can see, for John Lester. He surrenders a run, and at the end of 3, the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead on the Cubs.
Hi, everybody. In dramatic fashion, the Chicago Cubs overcame 108 years of heartbreak with a win in Game 7 of one of the greatest World Series ever played. Now you can purchase the same ball used in the World Series with this deluxe, officially licensed Cubs World Series ball and case set. The case measures 4.5 by 5.5 by 10 inches and is limited to 10,000 individually numbered pieces. This historic set sells for $89.95 plus shipping and is sold at BigTimeBats.com. Order your piece of history today. Baseballs are not game used.
You're here to buy a used car, truck, SUV. That's smart. TrueCar can help. It's great for finding a new car, but you already knew that. It's also great for finding the perfect used car. You'll see what a fair price is, and you can connect with a TrueCar certified dealer. So no matter what you're looking for, there it is. This is how buying a used car should be. This is TrueCar.
Don't let the food you eat during the day haunt you at night. Nexium 24 Hours shuts down your stomach's active acid pumps to stop the burn of frequent heartburn all day and night.
Have we seen them before?
Banish the burn with Nexium 24 Hour.
Rogue One, pulling away.
Take a journey like no other.
Go, go, go!
And unlock the secrets of how Rogue One came to life. With exclusive bonus extras. Rogue One, a Star Wars story on Blu-ray Tuesday.
In our pizza family, watching the game means never taking your eye off better ingredients.
Baseball's back, and to celebrate, we're giving you 40% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code PAPASLAM now through April 6th.
Papa John's.
Is a swing and a slow chopper toward third. Here comes Bryant on to first, and the Cubs have won the World Series. What a year it was in 2016. The Chicago Cubs winning the World Series for the first time in 108 years. And here it's opening night of the 2017 season. The Cubs opening up defense of their championship in St. Louis, trailing the Cardinals 1-0. Dan Shulman, Jess Mendoza, Aaron Boone, Buster Olney down in the field. I'm very pleased to be joined now by the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, who's had a busy and I would imagine a very enjoyable day. You've been watching baseball either on TV or in person from noon on?
That's what I've been doing. You know, we had 3 games. We feel like this Sunday in between the NCAA tournament is a great way for us to open. Great partner ESPN showing some good games. So really exciting Sunday.
What do you remember? Take us back to when you were a kid. You were a Yankee fan, I understand. You fall in love with baseball. Do you remember anything about opening day or your first game or how it all started for you?
Well, I do remember opening days as a kid. It was a big deal in upstate New York. It was sort of the sign that spring would be coming soon.
Eventually.
You didn't quite get it. Yeah. But really has always been a favorite of mine in terms of the coming of a new season. And each year it seems to get better for me. I've been really lucky being around the game. And this year in particular, I've never been to St. Louis before. This is some atmosphere.
How impressive was this pregame ceremony?
The pregame ceremony was absolutely unbelievable. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but you know, I came in and checked in at the hotel that's just across the way here, and you could look down on the plaza. There's all these people. It's like a sea of red. It's just, you know, it just shows you how strong the sport is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're welcome to come with us every Sunday as we go around. We'll find room for you. So, yeah.
You can come in the 4th inning every time. Join us. Call a couple innings. I feel like obviously one of the biggest hottest topics has been the rule changes, pace of action, all of that. But I also know that you guys have done a good job of listening to a lot of different people. The media, players, everyone, of all the suggestions. What has been kind of the more interesting that was like kind of more of a, I never thought of that?
You know, I think the most interesting thing actually came from somebody outside the game, and it was the distinction between dead time changes and changes that would affect competition. You know, people kind of get them jumbled up together. And I think for us, the more we think about it, the more we're focused on the first phase being all the dead time stuff. It's actually been helpful in terms of focusing our thinking.
How is your effort, and I know you want to make it a collaborative effort with the players. How has that gone, and have you started those dialogues as you go around to these teams?
Yeah, you know, I talked to Tony right after the beginning of spring training, and, you know, we were trying to sort through what was going to happen this year. We made an agreement on a set of changes that I think the replay changes should be helpful in terms of moving things along. I think the intentional walk thing is at least symbolic of a desire to move forward. What we're going to do this year is we're going to work with Tony and try to get small groups of players together to show them the research that we're looking at, the fan research that we're looking at, so they're seeing the same data that we're seeing. And, you know, I may not be right about this, but I do believe numbers are impressive to people. They're persuasive. They can change your view of where you want to be, and we're going to work through that process as the year goes on. It's important, whatever changes we ultimately make, that we have the players on board.
Other than time of game, pace of action, that sort of thing, what else is at the top of your list for this year?
Well, we're really excited about having in-market streaming available of our games in all our local markets, with the exception of 2. We think it's really important to give our fans the opportunity to watch games the way they want to watch them.
We appreciate the time. I'll have you know that was the quickest
inning.
That's the quickest half inning we've had all season.
This?
Good job.
It's the end of my workday.
Everybody loves the show. This guy's a spy, so he loves the customization. This guy's a villain, so he loves the strategy. This guy has 4 jobs and 12 kids, so he loves the quick 3-inning games. This guy didn't choose his name, so he loves that he can choose his own adventure. This guy loves couch co-op, so does this guy. This guy lives in Coldfoot, Alaska, so he loves competing online. This guy's an RPG god, and he's beating this guy pretty bad.
Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
On April 7th.
Let's leave at 20%.
Good. Now she can take a cruise. Get ready.
You know how to handle a gun?
For movie legends.
Let's rob a bank.
You're talking about us.
It can't be that hard.
At their absolute best.
How much time do you think you've got?
I have bad luck. I'll probably live to be 100. It's a film for everyone. Give me the flower. And a comedy at its best.
Look what you did to Cindy. She's looking like a Colombian drug mule.
Going in style. Rated PG-13.
Whether you're after supreme performance, advanced intelligence, or breathtaking style, there's a C-Class just for you. Decisions, decisions, decisions. The 2017 C-Class sedan, starting at $39,500. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
When you put on a pair of Maui Jim sunglasses, the world begins to look different. Colors are more vivid. Contrast is clearer. Details are crisper. Wherever your vision leads you, beauty follows. With polarized lenses that eliminate glare and enhance color, Maui Jim sunglasses won't change the world. They'll change the way you see it. Color, clarity, detail. Maui Jim.
Join Major League Baseball and New Era as we celebrate opening day. Make sure to wear your cap tomorrow, April 3rd, and share a photo on social media using hashtag #CapsOn. Tune in to all the opening day action tomorrow on ESPN, MLB Network, and MLB.com. We'll be doing our Caps On thing from our game at Arlington tomorrow as the Rangers host the Indians.
Do you have your cap in tow?
Well, it has not yet been given to me personally, because apparently there's a feeling, and I think this applies to all 3 of us, that we're maybe not the most focused, organized group, and the later they give them to us, the less likely we are to lose them between
later,
now and
meaning
tomorrow.
5 minutes before the game.
Yeah, so.
I already have mine.
You have yours?
Yeah, they must trust me a little bit more.
Dan, there's your cap.
There's my cap. Are you serious? You have your cap already?
No.
Oh, I didn't think so. I knew you weren't.
Because if we're going to pick the most mature of the three of us, Aaron, I mean, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be the one that gets the tag.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Bottom of the fourth inning. Our thanks to the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred, for spending a half inning with us. 1-0. The Cardinals lead the Cubs. Joe Madden with a conversation with home plate umpire Paul Emmel between innings.
This is in regard to when Baez misread the ball.
See that at-bat sign, which is all white, which I will tell you, as a player, one of the challenging things, especially with most of the new ballparks that are down low, sometimes there's signage that's difficult to pick up the ball off the bat.
So that's why he had trouble with the ball.
And clearly Baez did not recognize that one ball off the bat. This was always a challenge as an infielder, especially in day games where there was a lot of white shirts down low. And that's what Baez saying, I can't see it. And he clearly did not react to that ball like he did see it off the bat.
When they look at the angle of where he's at in the position of that sign, especially on that particular ball that was hit.
Yeah, and where he was, that's right in that window of where Lester's coming in with that pitch and where his eyes are fixed.
And you see his hands even kind of go up. Even before he dove, he kind of threw them up like almost an outfielder does
Right
when
here.
they lose it in the lights.
Right here, like, hey, I didn't see it.
So I guess the question is, what do they do about it?
Got some spray paint.
Couldn't see it.
Well, that ended up costing, obviously, that what turned out to be a run for the Cardinals after that, because the runners not only got on but advanced to third and then scored.
Oh,
after.
Is that one better?
Caps
on.
And Matheny's looking out. Matheny's, he's got a good poker face, but a little bit of a look like save it, deal with it. Nothing like stoking the rivalry here a little early.
They'll play 19 times this season, as they always do. 1-0 Cardinals lead, bottom of the fourth. Jed Jerko leads off the inning for St. Louis. So let's talk about this second base situation. We alluded to it a little bit earlier. Colton Wong, in the second year of a pretty nice 5-year deal, did not have a good spring, and just in the last few days made a comment or two, maybe about a week ago now, made a comment or two saying, you know what, if I'm not going to be an everyday guy, maybe they should move me. And the next day he admitted he spoke out of frustration. And Jed Jerko, as John Mozeliak, the GM, pointed out, I mean, he deserves a chance to play too. He hit 30 home runs last year. He's not as talented defensively as Wong is. There's Colton Wong, who does not start. It's not a strict platoon, says Mike Matheny, although Jerko, right-handed batters in there against a lefty Lester today. Who's hot, who's not, individual matchups, and Wong just 1 for 10 in his career against Lester. But one of the things the Cardinals really wanted to do this year was to have a better defensive team. And the more Wong is on the field, the better they are defensively as compared to when Jerko was on the field. But he's got to hit enough to warrant being on the field. And this has the kind of a feel of a fluid situation. We haven't seen the end of the story yet, I don't think.
I think we have seen the end of the story, frankly. Look, I don't think what Colton said was that egregious. I think he was just frustrated in the moment and responded kind of a, yeah, well, I understand, but he wasn't definitive. And I think clearly he felt bad the next day. I think they obviously had a talking to him. And what complicates matters is, as you said, Jed Jerko, 30 homers and 400 plus at bats last year. It's a really good player that needs to play and is a second baseman.
And let me clarify, by me saying I don't feel we've seen the end of the story, I mean in terms of how the playing time is divvied up. I think that'll be determined, quite frankly, by how well Colton Wong hits.
No doubt.
If Wong is great, he's going to play a lot.
Because he's an elite defender.
Line to short. Grichuk retired 2 down.
When Wong's playing at his best, he is a really good defensive second baseman. And when he's shown flashes on offense, but as you can see, 25th in Major League Baseball were the Cardinals. And I would say the biggest difference between the Cardinals and the Cubs from last year, the Cubs were the best at this, and the Cardinals one of the worst, and that's why Colton Wong needs to be on the field more often than not if they're going to reach their potential.
I also think Colton Wong not only has to hit to be in the lineup, but I think he's a better defender when he hits. I saw him make more errors last season because he carried those bad at-bats onto the field defensively.
Lester with an easy play, and that'll end the inning. 3 up, 3 down. We'll hear from Cubs manager Joe Maddon when we come back to St. Louis.
At our Joseph A. Bank one-day sale, save up to 70% on almost everything with all signature premium wool suits $199, all dress shirts and sports shirts including Traveler 2 for $79, and Traveler casual twill pants just $49. The one-day sale only at Joseph A. Bank.
The goalie has studied every one of your shots. She knows you're going for her left corner. She even teases you calling the shot. But her legs are the ones trembling, not yours. Time to shine. Orbit.
Euro. Arby's, we have the meats.
Get up and get down at Cricket Wireless, where plans start at only $30 a month and more 4G LTE coverage than T-Mobile or Sprint. Plus, when you switch now, you can get a brand new smartphone for free. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about.
No 2 allergy days feel the same. With Nasacort, even on your worst days, there's relief. Unlike antihistamines that stop just one cause of nasal allergy symptoms, Nasacort stops more. So no matter what kind of allergy day you're having, relief is yours with Nasacort.
This opening day, cities are gearing up. Rivalries resume. It's an all-out battle to see who wears it best.
Tell a friend and tell somebody. We about to start the party.
Whatever cap moves you, however you wear it, it's a brand new season, and everyone's in first. This opening day, get your caps on.
Back at Busch Stadium, a 1-0 lead for the Cardinals going to the top of the 5th. Moments ago, Buster Olney with Cubs manager Joe Maddon.
Joe, what did Javier Baez tell you about that sign behind home plate?
He lost the ball on that double play ball. That's where he was looking into the dugout. So I wanted to know which sign. So we're taking the ground balls in between innings, and he pointed out it was that MLB app sign. Sorry, boys, but it was all white, and he couldn't see that ground ball.
John Lester, 81 pitches, spot coming up in the lineup. How are you going to handle him the rest of tonight?
Oh, he's good. He's going to hit right now. I mean, look at that inning. If we just turned that double play, that was about 15 pitches, and also the ball that Willie couldn't get out of his glove. I'm pretty sure they'd thrown out Diaz. So John's actually pitching pretty good. The pitch count's high because of plays we didn't make.
Joe, thanks. Back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you. The pitch count is high, but John Lester, Joe Maddon says will hit here in the 5th inning. He's due up third. Jason Hayward, Wilson Contreras, and then Lester. And a strike at the knees. It's 1-1. Hayward struck out his first time up. Carlos Martinez, who has been a fast starter in his career in 8 prior April starts in the big leagues, 7-0 with a 1.87 ERA and pitching extremely well here tonight. Nice play by Carpenter to feed Martinez covering. Play Ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. To learn more, go to playball.org. Guys, looking forward to getting down to Arlington tomorrow. We'll have the Indians and the Rangers, Kluber, Darvish, two of the heavyweights in the American League tomorrow as they open up the season.
That's what's so fun for opening day for us. As we get back-to-back. Last year, from Kansas City down to San Diego, saw Clayton Kershaw throw against the Padres. We're watching the Royals and Mets face off. And we get 4 aces in 24 hours.
Nice to see. You hope that any guy who's been hurt as much as a guy like Michael Brantley has been hurt. Sounds like things are going well, and that he will be a factor for the Indians opening up the season. What a boost that would be for them.
Well, the Indians look like that scary team right now, at least on paper going into the season. And obviously there's now the games to be played, but it looks real sunny right now for Cleveland.
It'll be interesting to see Mike Napoli too. I mean, it was tough for him to not get picked back up by the Indians after so much what he had done leadership wise for that team, and now will be in the other dugout with the Rangers.
Martinez pretty efficient so far tonight. We told you walks have been a bit of an issue for him the last couple of years. Not tonight, as Contreras lays off that breaking ball down and away.
Well, and he's given you a good look at, he's obviously been outstanding so far. His secondary pitches have been good, but his command actually hasn't been great yet. And yet he has no walks. He's shutting down this outstanding Cub lineup here the first couple go rounds.
And a changeup would look like there to get Contreras swinging. That is strikeout number 7 for Carlos Martinez. Aerial coverage tonight provided by Goodyear, covering the bases with tires for superior performance all season long. Goodyear, more driven. Isn't that nice how they cut the grass with the arch in it?
'Tis.
Here's Lester.
And that's Yachty just slowing things down a little bit. He saw Martinez kind of fly off the mound, perhaps a little overthrow the first 2 pitches there, and a chance to have a real easy inning. Yachty's just saying, slow it down a little, execute a pitch, locate a pitch, don't overthrow a pitch. Right back to the bottom of the zone. Much more to Yachty's liking.
A weak ground ball up the first baseline, and that'll be 1 unassisted to end the inning. 3 up, 3 down they go again. 7 in a row set down by Martinez.
Hi everybody, this is Pat Hughes. The Chicago Cubs are World Series champions. To commemorate this, BigTimeBats.com is releasing the 2016 World Series champions Louisville Slugger 2-tone bat. The full-size bat will have the Cubs logo and the World Series champions logo. The bat is limited to 10,000 individually numbered bats and sells for $129.95. Call Big Time Bats now at 1-866-280-BATS.
Looking sharp, Len. Who's the lucky lady?
I'm going to the bank to discuss a mortgage.
See, you need a loan, you put on a suit, you go crawling to the bank. This is how I dress to get a mortgage. I just go to Lending Tree. I calculate how much home I can afford. I get multiple offers to compare side by side. And the best part is, the banks come crawling to me.
Everything you need to get a better mortgage. Clothing optional. Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
Okay. Awkward.
There's a lot of anxiousness and a lot of nerves. But once you throw that first pitch, it just goes away.
Opening day, tomorrow, starting at 1 on ESPN.
With Advil, you'll ask, what twisted ankle? What muscle strain? Advil makes pain a distant memory. Nothing works faster, stronger, or longer. What? Pain. Advil.
I believe computers are important in design, but it's the human touch that creates design with a feeling, creating a form that appeals to your heart.
Why are we so passionate about perfecting designs by hand? Because driving matters. Introducing the all-new Mazda CX-5.
The Empire's building a terrible weapon.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
We have hope. Rebellions are built on hope.
Add Rogue One to your Star Wars collection on Blu-ray Tuesday.
Opening night baseball on ESPN, presented by Booking.com, is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data. And CarMax. Drive what's possible. We go bottom 5 in St. Louis. Opening night baseball on ESPN, and the Cardinals lead the Cubs 1-0. Top of the order: Fowler, Diaz, Carpenter against Lester. High fly ball, center field, but room for Hayward. One down. Well, we talked a little bit earlier, a couple of innings ago, about how Anthony Rizzo might take on a larger role, perhaps, with John Lester if meetings to the mound are needed, whatever the case may be. And it's interesting because these guys go back to 2008. They are both cancer survivors. John Lester was a rookie in 2007 when he was diagnosed with lymphoma. Anthony Rizzo was a young farmhand, a minor leaguer in the Red Sox system when he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was at Fenway, was meeting some of the brass, and met Lester. And Lester, who had just gone through his treatment, talked to Rizzo, reassured him, gave him advice, tried to boost his spirits. Both of them, thankfully, beaten cancer. And Rizzo went from Boston to San Diego to the Cubs, and Lester, of course, went to Oakland for a little bit. Now he's with the Cubs, but you know, just a different kind of a bond that most of us can't relate to that exists between John Lester and Anthony Rizzo.
Well, especially how young Anthony Rizzo was, and if you can imagine, just even put yourself in his shoes when you feel like everything is still out in your future, yet you hear the word cancer. And to go and speak to a guy like John Lester, who had established himself so well, also had at a young age, and able to beat it and find strength from it. And I feel like that was probably the biggest thing that Rizzo took from that conversation. And kudos to the Boston organization to set that up and have the foresight to see how much it would help both of them.
Here's Matt Carpenter, a fly ball and then a sac fly. He's driven in the only run of the night.
And I think we've seen now with this Cubs team the last couple of years, their chemistry, yeah, they have great players all over the field, but their chemistry, led by that man right there, Joe Madden, is outstanding. And I think it's people like Rizzo and Bryant and Russell and Lester, all these guys, different ages, just blend together so well. And in Lester and Rizzo's case, have that connection.
Rizzo's 27, but that makes him one of the oldest guys in terms of position players on the Cubs. Bryant, Russell, Baez, Schwarber, Albert Almora, who's going to have a bigger role this year with Fowler coming to St. Louis. I mean, they are full of 23, 24, and 25-year-olds on the field. The pitching staff, especially the rotation, is older. But the vast majority of the position players may not even be in their prime yet. Carpenter with a 2-out single here in the bottom of the 5th.
John Lester, what he's shown so far this game is he hasn't been perfect, but he's been able to get himself out of jams, and this is when he just doesn't back down. In the second inning, he was able to locate his changeup and then come back with the arm side fastball and then the cutter, his signature pitch, getting in on the hands of so many riders. Then you have the third inning, him getting his arm side fastball, his cutter, both sides of the plate with his fastball plus the changeup, but the location, he's not bringing the velocity. It's 91, 92, but how he's able to locate that pitch is what's gotten him out of those jams.
And now Carpenter being at first here, especially with 2 outs. Carpenter's one of those guys who's not a a fast base runner by any means, but has been one of those guys I've seen in the past very good at taking advantage. You see him bluff there and slowly getting out to that bigger lead, but he's a guy that will get out to that uncomfortable place to get to and take off, and I would imagine you'll see that here.
Arbiter not going. Peralta takes outside. Leaning but not going, and a swing and a miss by Peralta. That'll end the inning. We'll have to see if it ends the night of Lester. He's at 92 pitches right now. 1-0 St. Louis end of 5, and we'll hear from Mike Matheny when we come back.
Acronyms are fun. LOL, laugh out loud, BTW, by the way, and of course, We Be Sedibo. We'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours.
Hey, what if I wanted to sell my car?
We Be Sedibo.
We Be Sedibo?
We'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours.
We Be Sedibo.
We Be Sedibo.
We Be Sedibo.
We Be Sedibo. We Be Sedibo. We Be Sedibo. We Be Sedibo.
No, we cool. I got you.
It's the right thing to do.
This Earth Day, experience the never-before-seen wonders of China. Disney Natures, born in China. Rated G. See Born in China opening week to help protect pandas and snow leopards. In theaters April 21st.
Well, I love it. This piece is so you. I know, right? I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
Is it suede?
It's suede. Love suede.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Well, I love it. This piece is so you.
I know, right? I saw it and I was like, have to have it.
Is it suede?
It's suede.
I love suede.
That's why we're there with renter's insurance when things go wrong, but also here with a rewards credit card to help life go right. State Farm.
In our pizza family, watching the game means never taking your eye off better ingredients.
Baseball's back, and to celebrate, we're giving you 40% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code PAPASLAM now through April 6th.
Papa John's.
Back in St. Louis, opening night baseball on ESPN. The Cardinals lead 1-0 going to the top of the 6th. Moments ago, Buster Olney with St. Louis manager Mike Matheny.
Mike, now that Molina has his contract extension, what do you think that'll do for him emotionally?
I know it's been an emotional month, really, as you look at the WBC and how much he put into that. And you know, this sort of stuff weighs on everybody, but I think he's handled it like a pro. Just real happy the organization and Yachty were able to come to an agreement. It's great for our organization, obviously great for our club.
What jumped out at you tonight about Carlos Martinez?
Yeah, just being himself. I mean, he's using everything. Really good changeup. The slider looks good and reaches back and has that extra velocity when he wants it. But just he's in a nice spot. He's pitching. He's making good pitches and tough counts, and it's a guy we love to watch.
Mike, thanks. Back to you.
Buster, thank you. Outstanding performance so far from Carlos Martinez. Again, he gets the opening day start. Adam Wainwright, who has made or had made 4 in a row and 5 in his career, not coming off his best year. Wainwright will start the second game of the season for the Cardinals, but Martinez inheriting the, I don't know if you want to say ace or just call him an opening day starter at this point, but he's the guy they're counting on to be their number 1.
Well, you heard Mike Matheny talk about how good his changeup's been tonight. And it absolutely has. It's been his best secondary pitch. And again, that's a pitch that is so important for Martinez if he's going to continue to evolve into this ace. Lefties have hit almost 200 points higher from an OPS standpoint, and that changeup is a pitch that can help neutralize them as we look at Baez foul one off the top of his foot there. And hopefully
Molina helped him back to his feet. Baez appears to be okay. Is that the pitch right there that will determine how good of a major league hitter Javier Baez is?
Well, not so much handling it, but being able to lay off it. I mean, that's not a pitch you want to swing at.
That one got a lot more of the plate than Martinez wanted, but a long throw's a good one from Peralta at third. Baez may be running not quite as quickly as he normally does after fouling the ball off his foot, and he's out by a step. Kyle Schwarber's coming up. Let's get to know a little bit more about him right now as we send you down to field level. Here's Buster.
And Dan, Kyle Schwarber, a man of many interests and talents. For example, he plays the bass guitar. He told me he prefers classic rock, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's a song and dance man. This is Schwarber with a purple pizzazz back when he was a teenager. And least surprisingly, he was a bone-crushing linebacker in high school, generating highlight reel like this one when he was playing for Middletown High School in Southwest Ohio. And guys, when I mentioned to him that I had seen his plays as a linebacker and mentioned that one in particular, he documented every piece of it, including, he said, I almost got run down right before I got to the end zone.
He did just get over the goal line. Did you mention to him that the purple pizzazz was going to be airing on the game tonight, or did you just talk football?
I avoided that.
Yeah.
The best is actually most of the Cubs reenacted that entire skit of the purple pizzazz. They wore the same suits and everything, did the dance, and Schwarber just owned it, which says a lot about his personality, as much as he's this big linebacker that's doing dances and all kinds of stuff. He knows how to make fun of himself, too.
Yeah, he may have scored on this play, but fortunately for Kyle, they didn't have instant replay back in high school there, and we were able to slow that down, and I think his knee was down before he crossed the goal line.
He's retired for the first time tonight. Strikeout number 8 for Martinez. He told me, too, that he was at a basketball game, one of my favorite college basketball games I've ever had the pleasure of calling. Indiana beat Kentucky about 6-7 years ago, I guess now. And he was a student at Indiana. And he, like everybody else in the building, they knocked off #1 and previously undefeated Kentucky. And Schwarber stormed the court. And can't you see him loving storming the court? And he said he was right in there with everybody else after the Hoosiers' big win.
I first met Kyle at the College World Series when he was with Indiana, Dan, and him as a 19-year-old, just still a beast with a bat, but the personality that he's a lovable guy because he makes fun of himself. He's not afraid to kind of own his differences and be silly and goofy, which is a lot of this Cubs team. They know how to have fun, but they also know how to rake when they need to.
Well, as a young guy, too, he's kind of emerged as one of the leaders on this team. And remember last year when he was out with that knee injury all year, and there was all that talk about would he be in a trade that maybe gets a closer and they bring in Chapman. Well, it came down, they weren't going to trade Kyle Schwarber. And yes, because he's such a talented hitter, but also because of the kind of person that they believe he is and the kind of leader he can be for this organization. Special guy.
Came back a little bit quicker than people thought off the knee injury last year. I don't know how many people expected him to show up in the playoffs, and he did in the World Series and swung the bat great. Had some big hits for the Cubs. DHing in the American League Park, DHing in Cleveland. Ryan chases up and in. Carlos Martinez is dealing. 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts. 1-0 St. Louis.
Allergies can hold you back. Break through indoor and outdoor allergies with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. It works in 1 hour. Relief lasts 24 hours, and it's non-drowsy. Break through allergies with Allegra.
You're a brave man, Mr. Stevens. Your testimony will save lives. Mr. Stevens, this is your new name. This is your new house and a perfectly inconspicuous SUV. You must become invisible.
I'll take my chances.
Your screen is your window to the world. So why wouldn't you want one that's virtually borderless? With millions of pixels worth of detail. So any way you view it, there's no limit to where it can take you. The Dell XPS 13 2-in-1 with an Infinity Edge display and 7th Gen Intel Core processor. As real as it gets.
I joined the Army in July of '98. I did active duty 11 years and 2 in the reserves.
Our 18-year-old was in an accident. When I call USA, it was that voice asking me, is your daughter okay? That's where I felt relief. It actually helped to know that somebody else cared and wanted to make sure that I was okay. That was really great.
We're the Rivera family, and we will be with USAA for life.
USAA. We know what it means to serve. Call today to talk about your insurance needs.
Allergy sufferers, a word to the wise. If symptoms at night ruin your next day, try new Xyzal. It relieves symptoms while you sleep and keeps relieving all day. Because Xyzal's as effective at hour 24 as at hour 1. So, be Wisal. Take new Xyzal.
James for the mammoth hammer. And it's the fourth quarter. It's that time. Well, this might be one of those games where the team with the ball last wins.
We go bottom 6 in St. Louis. And Yadier Molina looks at a strike from John Lester. Molina tonight has a base hit and he's walked. And as we mentioned earlier, if you weren't with us, you may have heard, you may not have heard by this point, signed a 3-year extension for $60 million to keep him with the Cardinals through the 2020 season. He's on the last year of his existing contract right now. He's having himself a pretty strong night. 2 for 2 with a walk.
This has been Yadier Molina tonight, being able to go opposite field. But if you look at where he's at in the batter's box, and his back foot is almost out of the box. He's so deep, and what that helps him do is just track the ball, see it longer, especially with a guy like John Lester, who can get balls to sneak back over the plate. He's able to see it longer and get it off of his back leg. Look at where he's able to make contact. Using that back foot, that back leg, but you can't see the back line of the batter's box, but he's almost outside of it. That's how far behind it he is.
Stephen Piscotty a foul back. All right, let's talk about Piscotty a little bit. Last year, 22 home runs, drove in 85, as we mentioned earlier tonight. Really appeared to have the inside track to be the cleanup hitter, but only hit about $150 in the spring, so he's down in the 6th spot. What can they expect? What do they need out of Piscotty this season?
When runners are on base, I mean, that's his biggest key. We talked so much about the top 3 in this lineup, and I think for him to really solidify himself, and we've seen it from Yadi tonight, and getting the bigger hits, but from Johnny Peralta and Stephen Piscotty, it's about getting the hits when the runners are in scoring position. He doesn't need to be a 300 hitter. He needs to be the guy that gets those 80, 90 RBIs that are going to be on base for these Cardinals.
When it's all said and done, he's going to end up getting the majority of his at-bats in the middle of this lineup. I just think he's too sound of a hitter fundamentally. He's too polished. Athletically, he should play a very good right field. And I think with the addition of Fowler between him and Grichuk, now all of a sudden this outfield defensively has a chance to be a lot better.
Piscotty has said that he's working on getting the ball in the air, right? Wants to, a la Chris Bryant, I guess, a guy who can really get the ball in the air. But Piscotty looking to get the ball up in the air more to try to hit more home runs, basically, right?
And he started with that last year. His launch angle, which has been a huge word around the baseball universe, is basically trying to create your bat angle to get under the ball and hit it in the air for more power, more home runs, more doubles. And
yeah, but in his first full year last year, 22 home runs. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially in this ballpark.
That's when he started it.
And I think he'll continue to grow into that power. And I think 30 homers is possibly in there for him one day. But more importantly, he profiles to me like a middle of the order hitter. And that's what the Cardinals want and need.
Absolutely.
Well, and he's not the only guy who says, you know what, as you guys have said, I want to get the ball in the air more. I want to drive it out of the ballpark more. Very few do that as much or with as much success as Chris Bryant, who has the highest launch angle in all of baseball, almost twice as high as your average major league hitter. StatCast is powered by AWS. Piscotty will work Lester for a walk. 2 on, but nobody out.
And the higher you see that number is basically how steep the path is on the way to the ball. So that's how it's measured, is basically that measurement to get under the ball. And you got to think, I mean, Boone, when we were growing up, it was all about hitting the middle of the ball, hitting line drives, ground balls. And now that mindset has changed and shifted, not for all hitters, but for a lot of them.
End of the line for John Lester. Right-hander Carl Edwards Jr. will come on here in the bottom of the 6th.
In our pizza family, watching the game means never taking your eye off better ingredients.
Baseball's back, and to celebrate, we're giving you 40% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code PAPASLAM now through April 6th.
Papa John's.
Allergy sufferers, a word to the wise. If symptoms at night ruin your next day, try new Zysol. It relieves symptoms while you sleep and keeps relieving all day. Because Zysol's as effective at hour 24 as at hour 1. So, be Wisol. Take new Zysol.
7 ingredients. Wonder what they are.
Corrosion inhibitor.
Solvent fluid.
Demulsifier.
Fuel detergent number 1.
Fuel detergent number 2.
Anti-adhesion compound.
And marker molecules.
Get better gas mileage with Synergy. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here.
At our Joseph A. Bank one-day sale, save up to 70% on almost everything, with all signature premium wool suits $199, all dress shirts and sports shirts, including Traveler, 2 for $79, and Traveler casual twill pants just $49. The one-day sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
Dear Predictable, there's no other way to say this. It's over. I found a permanent escape from monotony. Together, we are perfectly balanced. Our senses awake. Our hearts racing as one. I know this is sudden, but they say if you love something, set it free. See you around, Julia.
It's a contest, but so much more. A show of joy, a reunion with friends, a time for family. The shortest holes, but some of the biggest smiles. And a whole lot of aces. Competition, celebration, tradition. The Masters Par 3 contest, Wednesday at 3 on ESPN.